get you ready for Friday Night Lights.
This program is also streaming live on the Craddock Sports Facebook page.
The Team SMI starting lineup is presented by Team SMI. Also brought to you by State Farm Agent Amy Brown, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, and West Georgia Technology. Now, let's go live on the air
and on the Craddock Sports Facebook page
to the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station with your host, Matt Skinner.
3, 2, 1.
And a pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Mustard Seed Cafe here at City Station, right off Maple Street in Carrollton. Hope you guys are doing well. Alongside Clay Harden, I'm Matt Skinner as always. A fun show tonight. Anytime we get to talk football, it's fun.
We talk football year round.
Yeah, we do. We do. And for some, we were talking earlier, you even watch the Canadian football.
I do watch Canadian football. Love it. It's something to do in the summertime.
Yeah. Anywho, we're going to get to talk with Coach Ty Runnels, the defensive coordinator at Bowden High School, coming up here in just a moment to kick off the show. And then also we've got Matt Cook, Assistant Athletic Director at the University of West Georgia, coming in to preview us on Week 1 of the West Georgia Wolves football season as they travel to Salisbury, North Carolina, Salisbury, North Carolina, I guess, for the matchup against Catawba. So what are you looking forward to most about this weekend in high school and college football, Clay?
Well, this is going to be one of those weekends. I don't do road games, so when they're on the road, I get to tune them in on the radio and channel surf, which is my favorite thing to do on a football Saturday while I'm sitting at home.
There's nothing wrong with channel surfing at all, and that's what I'll be doing this weekend as well. Looking forward to some good games. So we'll break down the college schedule coming up later on in the show, but we'll take our first break of the night. We want to thank all of our sponsors once again: Amy Brown, State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology Repair. When we come back, we're going to have we're going to break down local scores from last week and talk about this week's game, all right here at the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station, KISS 102.7, and our Craddock Sports Facebook page.
City Station, a multi-purpose community center behind CVS on Maple Street in Carrollton, was conceived by Southern Hills Christian Church with a goal of serving Carroll County. City Station offers preschool services, college student housing, the Mustard Seed Cafe, an indoor playground, fitness center, and basketball court, as well as state-of-the-art conference rooms available for your next event. You matter, and City Station exists to serve you. Come check out City Station in person or find us online at citystation.org and Facebook.
Join the 7 million investors who know the difference. For a proactive approach to your individual financial needs, contact an Edward Jones financial advisor near you. Call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Regardless of what the market is doing, we stay in touch. Even when the market's down, we'll call you up. Proactive, not reactive. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones in Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
It's not just your car. It's the car you worked overtime so your team could drive himself to football practice. This is State Farm Agent Amy Brown. My team and I understand that your car and home are things you worked really hard for, and we're here to give them the protection they deserve. Call me, State Farm Agent Amy Brown, at 678-840-5000. Stop by our office on South Candler Street in Villa Rica, or visit online at amybrown.biz. We're here to help life go right.
Osier Apparel makes
seconds.
it easy for you to outfit your employees in company attire. The Osier staff will work with you to set up a company store online with your logos, approved garment brands, colors, and styles. Once the store is up and running, employees visit the store and order direct within your allotted budget, or can order additional garments on their own within your preset acceptable parameters. You've got enough to do. Alleviate the hassle of outfitting your employees. To find out more or to set up your company store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
3, 2.
And welcome back into the Team SMI starting lineup live here at the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station. Clay Harden with Matt Skinner here tonight. Appreciate you, Clay, being on with us. And let's talk about games last week. Some big upsets, some exciting games. Some teams got off to a great start with their first win of the season. We'll start at the top. Bowden defeated Bremen last week, 20-7. Martin Luther King beat Villa Rica. You got to see that ball game, 26-14. Carrollton 33-3 over East Coweta last week. 51-14 Rockmart over Central, and 55-21 Putnam County fell to the Temple Tigers. Let's start right at the top of the page with Bremen Bowden. That was some football game. Clay, I wish you could have been there to see it. It was phenomenal. The defense all night for Bowden just swarming, and Bremen really didn't do anything. They were able to get down in the red zone a couple of times. I think 3 times they were 0 for 3 in the red zone, including a 96-yard interception returned by Cameron Buchanan.
And for the record, I think I called a Bowden win.
Did.
And this one, as
You
much
and
as
Jimmy
I,
both
as
did.
much as I love Rooster and I love that program and what he's done at Bremen, I just kind of had a feeling Bowden was going to step up to the plate and handle business, and they did. Sounds like their defense had a heck of a night. Who runs that defense?
Ty Runnels, he's going to talk to us
that
here.
guy.
But they were just, if you look at both the teams, Bowden had the better players. There's no doubt. Speed everywhere. And I felt like Bremen kind of got out of their comfort zone a little bit. They'd been in the eye for the first couple of games of the season, tried to run that zone read, and it didn't really work for them.
My brother has a saying when we're talking football, and you can say, in a blowout game, well, they didn't look, the team that got blown didn't look very good. And he always says, well, the other team had a lot to do with that. And Bowden's athletes had a lot to do with Bremen not looking very good.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that game here in just a moment with Coach Runnels. But you got to see the Martin Luther King Villa Rica game. Talk to us a little bit about that. Martin Luther King obviously always has athletes. They have for years. They play in a region where you got to get off the bus every week because they're going to play some good teams. Tucker and Lovejoy and Mundy's Mill, who Central will see this week. So a lot of talented teams in that football region.
They were loaded with athletes from sideline to sideline. Played the defensive ends lived in Villa Rica's backfield. One thing I was very disappointed in, Villa Rica never did anything different. It worked in the first quarter. They had 2 quick scores. After that, I think they had 24 yards total offense.
That's
After
crazy.
their second score, they had 24 yards total offense.
Yeah.
And they never did anything different. They kept trying the same thing, and it just wasn't working. It never adjusted.
And the stat line that was kind of shocking to me, they gave up 224 yards rushing to the quarterback. The quarterback was just all over the place, and he was the backup corner on the depth chart.
That's what when we got there, when they first came out, Casey, we went to our first break, and he said, "This kid that's taking the snaps at quarterback, he's not even on my 2 deep anywhere." And then we found him; he was like the backup corner on the defensive side of the roster. And then he comes out there at quarterback all night. All he did was he was doing his own read. He was watching those defensive ends, and if they stayed outside, he went right up the middle. If they crashed, he just pulled it and went around the end, and nobody was fast enough to contain him. Nobody contained him all night long.
Trojans opened up. Villa Rica will have an off week, a much-needed off week before they start their region gauntlet. Carrollton and Villa Rica, unlike anybody else around here, has to play 8 region games. And anytime you play 8 region games, that's a pretty tough schedule. And Villa Rica,
you like those non-region games where you can kind of breathe a little bit and try some different things because it don't really count. But Carrollton and Villa Rica don't have that luxury.
Yeah, Villa Rica will have the week off to get ready for Carrollton, and then Carrollton defeated East Coweta 33-3. They struggled in the first half, but they were able to get things going. The quarterback, Miles Morris, had 4 touchdowns in the ball game, and Carrollton looked good in the second half.
Well, there again, when you got that many athletes, good things are eventually going to happen when you just out-athlete the other team.
Yeah, Jarius Edwards led the Trojans. I think they said he had 8 tackles in the ball game, and he looks to be a force to be reckoned with, along with Chaz Chambliss and Kevin Swint for that defense. So the Trojans will have Riverdale this week. We'll preview that game here in just a minute. Rockmart and Central. Now, Central was up 6-0 at the end of the first quarter in this ball game, and if you would have told Coach Smiley he had a 6-0 lead on Rockmart at the end of the first quarter, he'd been pretty pleased. But then the wheels started kind of falling off, and this Central didn't have a couple of key players in this ball game that didn't play a lot and were forced out with injury. But the wheels kind of fell off the bus, and we saw what Rockmart can do when they get a crease.
And knowing who all they returned to is that's about what I figured. Central held them to 51. That sounds. It sounds funny, but it's not. I mean, there's so many weapons on that Rockmart team that returned from last year's team that played for a state championship.
Yeah. They scored 51 points in 3 quarters. That just shows how much their offense – and really in the late in the fourth quarter, they didn't have their they put their twos in. So
and they got one of the best athletes I saw play all last year named Juke Boozer.
Yeah, Boozer is quite the player, and for you Hurd County fans, they get to come down to Staples next weekend. So there you go for that one. And then our final game from last week, congratulations to Scotty Ward and the Temple Tigers. They opened up their 2019 campaign with a 55-21 victory over Putnam County. Philip Johnson, Clay, over 300 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns.
They look like
I don't care who you play against.
Back in the late 90s when college football first came out on the Sega, and you could get Herschel Walker with the 1980 Georgia Bulldogs, and you have 500 yards
sweep too.
500 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. That sounds like some of those numbers from video game land.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it was they had another running back, Justin Eisler, I think is his name, with 80 yards rushing, and they had the quarterback, Scooter Tanner, with 60 yards rushing. So they had over 500 yards rushing as a team.
Well, I didn't see the game, but you know what it sounds like to me? The line of scrimmage handled business.
And I was able to see some photos that they put up. Putnam County's pretty doggone big. They were huge. They're in that region with Rabun County and Union County, and you know how they grow them up there.
Yeah.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, big old country mountain boys.
Yeah, and Temple this week will play the exact opposite. They'll play Kendrick. So they went from top right of the state to the bottom left. Luckily, they get to play at home again. Kendrick has a lot of athletes, but Temple should be able to handle their business. Bowden at Monticello, Monticello comes to Bowden this year. I see no problems there. Of course, a lot, we'll talk about it here in a minute, but they've had a lot going on this week. I'm sure a lot of distractions that, of course, coming off a big win, too.
Monticello is the team that I think Hurd played them in the second round, first round of playoffs last year? First round.
Okay. Well, if I'm not mistaken, and Coach Mike can correct me, they got that hill in the back of their end zone on one side, and it's just you have to literally run up a hill to catch a pass. I remember seeing a photo last year of that. It's literally, I don't know how big of an incline, but it's actually dangerous because the fence is right there too.
Well, that reminds
me. It's like
me
catching a fly ball, like Ronald Acuna or something.
What's the what was the baseball stadium that had the hill in center field?
The Astros Park, Minute Maid Park.
Didn't they take that down?
I think they did take
That's
it down.
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever saw.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Our broadcast games this week include Carrollton and Riverdale on 92.1. Mitch Gray and Verlin Best will be on the call for that. Central taking on Monday's Mill on KISS 102.7. Hurd County and Hateville Charter. If you want to see a couple of kids that are going to play on Saturdays.
A couple.
About 11 kids.
A lot of them.
A lot. Yeah, they hit the recruiting trail again hard. So go to Staples Stadium on Friday if you want to see some D1 guys play, because it's going to be impressive. And then Haralson County at Murchie on 93.7. Other game, Mount Zion at Coosa. So Mount Zion's also struggled in the first game against Lamar County. They had a week off, and they get to go back and play Coosa. But if anybody can get the team together, it's Brad Gordon.
Yeah, well, he's having to fight the same thing that Tim Barron's fighting this year. A lot of those athletes that got him where he wanted to be last year is not there anymore, and really didn't have a whole lot to choose from to take their place. But I do know that Brad's a great coach, and he'll find something that's going to work eventually before he gets into region play.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of wraps up our recap and look ahead to this week. We're really excited about tomorrow, and we'll let you know here at the end of the show about our broadcast games once again. Hey, when we come back, you don't want to miss this. Bowden defensive coordinator Ty Runnels is going to sit down with us, talk about the big victory over the Bremen Blue Devils last week, and talk about being High Five Sports Team of the Week, all right here at the City Station Mustard Seed Cafe, just off of Maple Street here in Carrollton. KISS 102.7 and our Gradic Sports Facebook page.
At West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, a family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com.
To God be the glory.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
The
30 seconds.
Cafe at City Station offers affordable, globally inspired cuisine, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a pleasant atmosphere. More importantly, your meal is part of a bigger story. A portion of every meal sold goes to help those in need around the globe. Your meal matters, and when you eat at the Mustard Seed, your meal makes a difference. Bring the family down to City Station and break bread with us. Find us online or on Facebook. Mention GRADIC20 for 20% off one entree through the end of August.
3, 2.
And welcome back in to the Mustard Seed Cafe live here at City Station. It's the Team SMI starting lineup show. Hope you guys are doing well. Clay Harden and Matt Skinner here with you, and joining us now is defensive coordinator of the Bowden Red Devils, Ty Runnels. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are y'all?
Well, we appreciate you being with us and taking your time from the friendly city to come and be with us. First off, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to Bowden, and just kind of your past and what made you want to be a coach, really.
Yeah, man. I was raised in the big city of Roopville, Georgia.
There you go.
Born and raised there. When I got in middle school, I went over to Ranburne, a bigger city, Ranburne, Alabama, and that's where I played my high school ball at for Coach Chad Young, and ended up being able to walk on at the University of West Georgia and play there for 3 years, and it was a great experience for me. What made me want to become a coach, I think it's the same thing for a lot of coaches, is they want to help shape and mold men. Some of the best men that I know, were my coaches. They were good, godly examples when I, coming through at Ranburne, and that's something that I always wanted to be.
Bremen Bowden, it's a rivalry like any other across our state, and y'all took care of business. And that game, to me, from the Bowden community's kind of spectrum, you hadn't won in 2 years, but it kind of felt like you probably hadn't won in 50, right?
Yeah, that's always a big game for our community. We hear a lot about it. From the end of the season to the start of the season to past the season, we hear a lot about it. I think we did a great job coming out and flying around on defense with that game, and it was a huge for our kids. To win that.
How do you keep your kids composed? Because you've got you got a good football team. There's no doubt in my mind you do, but you've also got a really young team.
Yes.
And you're coming off a 1-9 season. Now they've got more wins now than they did all last year. And that might go to their head a little bit.
Yes, and our kids are hungry. They're hungry. And they've done a good job. Coach Finley does a great job. I mean, he's, if you can't tell, if you've been around him, he has tremendous energy. And he has relationships with these kids. Yeah. He has a great way of getting through to these kids and a great way of getting their attention. And I think we played very composed, to be in, like you said, 1-9, and we jumped out 14-0. We didn't expect that right off the bat, and I think we handled it very well, being, like you said, a young team, and some of those guys haven't been in that position. 1-9, 2-8 the year before. That this is actually my 4th year at Bowden.
Yeah. You described Coach Finley as high energy. I'd say he's got caffeine instead of blood running through his veins.
Man, he does. It's really fun, to be on his staff. And we have a great staff. Great, he's all about relationship with players, but he's all about relationship with coaches. We're a family all the way through and through, and man, we try to keep up with him. We got a pretty young staff all the way through. We kid around with him, say he's the old man of the staff. But
he'll run circles.
He does, man. He does. We'll be having a rough day or thinking, this practice wasn't very good. Man, he always has something positive to say about the kids. Always, and it's contagious. It's contagious, and I think you can tell that with how our kids play and how our coaches coach.
Talk about this week. The community was honored, I think, over 9,000 votes or something like that for the Fox 5 Team of the Week. How many people live in Bowden?
Somebody from outside of Bowden had voted.
Yeah, I heard today there was like 2,000 people. We had, like you said, like 9,000 votes. Man, our community did well putting that thing out on Facebook. You know, putting the voting out. There's no telling, you know, who was putting in votes. But you know, right there, I want to thank you guys. Gradic Sports has done great putting our kids out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, hyping that game up. You know, the community was out, and not only our kids, but y'all do it for, you know, Villarica, Central. I mean, heard everybody.
Yeah.
And as a coach, we appreciate that you y'all give that kind of
kids deserve that.
Yes, they
kids
do.
deserve
they
that.
do. They do.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just want to say I feel like the Bowden-Bremen game, it's, you know, I'm 42 years old. It's from the time I was a kid, that was one of the games you look forward to every year was the Bowden-Bremen game. I feel like Bremen hadn't looked at it as a rivalry lately. But did your kids coming into that week still look at it as this is our big rivalry game?
Yes. You know, I always tell people I feel like Mount Zion has kind of moved more toward our rival, but, you know, but Bremen is always – going to be our rival. You know, those kids whose daddy played against Bremen. You know, and that's one thing I love about Bowden is tradition. There's such a tradition there, football history, and it's a special game, and it's fun to be a part of. It is very, very fun to be. Last Friday night was one of the best games that I've ever been in. You know, as a coach.
Let's get to the football part of stuff. I mean, talk about your game plan coming in, because we saw kind of a different offense that Bremen threw out in that game that we hadn't seen before, and y'all were able to get that together. Jarrett Anderson's a kid that I know, and that's exactly the response I got from Coach Finley when I was like, Jarrett Anderson was our sack champion this week from Toby Powers, and he just immediately just started talking about how great a game he did. But it was everybody on that defense that was giving.
Yes, I mean, our D-line played really sound. Jarrett, man, he's a kid, you know, that got very minimum reps last year.
Yeah.
And then coming out, man, he's busted his tail in the weight room. I thought we had a really good plan coming in. We wanted to make them try to throw the ball, you know, and we got back down on our 5 pretty early in the game. I think there was 11 minutes left, and we ran a stunt off the edge, made the quarterback pull up. Our linebacker, Cam Buchanan, made a huge play, 96 yards.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about him for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead. Because he plays both ways.
He had a great game. But listen, not many people know. And I asked him if I could tell this story on air.
Go right ahead.
And he said, Coach, go ahead. But last year we had to kick him off the team. He made some bad choices, and he watched that game from the stands. And since we've done that, and that's what a lot of people don't see that part of coaching. You know, have to let good players, you know, go sometimes, and kids that you love with all your heart, you know, trying to do what's best for them, try to get their attention. And you know, he come in, and you know, I got kind of emotional, you know, when I saw him take that pass, 96 yards. 'Cause I know where he was at last year. You know, we didn't know if he'd ever make it back out there.
It was worth every bit of it.
Man, and I said, oh, we got a lot of football to play. You know, you know, but, you know, I always want to try to take that moment in with a kid like that because, I mean, he's been a leader this year. He's a different kid than a year ago.
That may be the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yes, and I believe that. You know, and he could have probably.
I applaud you. I applaud y'all as a coaching staff for sticking with it and having the guts to dismiss him like that.
And that was tough, you know, with especially Coach Finley. You know, that was his call, and coming in first year coach. Yeah, you know, that's not a very popular opinion. Y'all can tell he's a playmaker.
Because if I had to take a guess, he probably didn't miss many plays on Friday because he's your punter.
Yeah,
he's your running back.
Yes.
And then he starts your outside linebacker.
And we're trying to get him off the field on punt. We got some young kickers, Douglas Bell and Rigo is going to try to give him some rest. We're trying to rest him, but you know we got to have him on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
He changes it.
we're sitting down now and talking with defensive coordinator of the Bowden Red Devils, Ty Runnels, right here on KISS 102.7, our Gradic Sports Facebook page. We appreciate you sitting down with us, Ty, and your commitment to Bowden and the community as well. But talk a little bit about this upcoming week against Monticello. No rest for the weary. You got to get right back at it, and have the same kind of performance you did this past week.
That's what we've been preaching to our kids. We've got to come out with the same intensity that we had. We can't let the Bremen game be our peak.
Absolutely.
We've got to keep rolling. We got a lot of football left to play, and we don't want to be down in this game. We feel like we got a good chance to come out and stop them on defense. Just keeping that intensity, that's going to be a challenge, because it's not going to be the same type of atmosphere as the Bowden Bremen game, and that's one thing we've kind of been preaching all week to our kids, that we want to just be consistent to how we played last Friday night.
It's going to be hard to repeat that intensity all year long, because the Bowden Bremen game, regardless of where it's played,
you're right,
the stands are full and the fence don't have any room all the way around.
I love it.
There's people standing everywhere.
I love it. No better atmosphere.
I agree.
Than that right there.
I kind of want to step on to the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, you're the defensive coordinator, but the offensive side of the ball, I was really impressed with the quarterback play that you guys had on Friday. True freshman.
Yes.
McNeil. Talk about him and what he's shown you, because I know he plays in the secondary a little bit for you, but he's just a game manager. I mean, 0 turnovers.
Yes.
Or what? He had the one. No, he didn't. Did he fumble the first drive or?
No, that was Gage Stevens, I believe.
That was Gage.
And, Robert is a special kid.
Yeah.
You get, as a coach, you only get certain opportunities to coach a special kid, and he's that type of player. And, the poise he has as a ninth grader is unheard of. There's times, the defense staff kind of moves to the back, out of the offensive way, and we're back there going, my goodness, I can't believe he just did that.
Yeah.
At that age, the one thing that we were worried about was him gaining respect of his older linemen, his older backs around him. And, Friday night, he come off the field, and it was his last drive, and I look over, and there's 2 seniors hugging his neck, and they got him by the helmet. And they're just telling him, man, you did awesome. That's what we're going to do. We need you to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very man, he took some shots.
Oh, he did.
He took some shots there toward the end. And he's just a competitor, and he wants to go out there and win a ball game.
Chuck Prater accosted me at the Piggly Wiggly about a month and a half ago and told me that we got this is his exact words, we got a quarterback that's special, unlike anything I've seen in a long time. And, Chuck being a homer, I didn't know how to take it. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but it sounds like he's living up to it.
Oh, he's legit.
And he is, man. He's been awesome, and I wish I could play him more on defense, because he can ball on defense also. But we try to keep him as fresh as we can,
You remember when I played basketball for his daddy.
Okay, go ahead.
Back. I remember when Ty was about that big, chasing basketballs around the gym.
That's what I was thinking. I said, man, they get to sit me beside the great Clay Harden, and
it don't happen to everybody, buddy.
No, it don't. But man, that's great. I've known you for a long time with my dad, my uncle, man, I appreciate what y'all do.
Well, you're welcome on anytime, and we appreciate you and Coach Finley especially. He's been so awesome. Great to us, calling in the red zone and just giving us anything that we need. So we really appreciate that, and just once again coming over tonight and being on the show.
All right, man. Well, I've enjoyed it, and like I said, I appreciate what you do for not only the Bowden community but these kids in our county, surrounding county. So,
Slade, I want to say this real quick. Slade Jenkins said Ty is proud of you and go Bowden.
That's my uncle.
Cassie Shadinger Jenkins said, hey Ty, and Catherine Reynolds said, go Ty.
Yeah, my family, they're my biggest fan club, man. I love y'all too, and that's awesome, man. I'm glad to be on here with y'all.
Well, you have a good night, and go Red Devils.
That's right, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
See you, buddy.
Well, that was Coach Ty Reynolds, defensive coordinator of the Bowden Red Devils. Coming up, we'll be sitting down with Matt Cook, the assistant athletic director at the University of West Georgia. We got college football this week.
Yes.
D2 college football, but nonetheless, the West Georgia Wolves are in action.
You know what? I'll watch it any way you give it to me.
Absolutely. We'll be right back right here on KISS 102.7 and the Gradic Sports Facebook page.
Listen, then speak. That's how your Edward Jones financial advisor gets to know you, your personal situation, and your individual goals. Smart answers come from listening to your questions. Let your Edward Jones financial advisor show you the difference. For an Edward Jones financial advisor near you, call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Listen, then speak. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones, Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
It's not just your home or your car. It's the hours you spend in your kitchen mastering your legendary wing recipe and packing the family in the car as you head to the high school tailgate. While other companies just call it bundling, at State Farm, we see your home and your auto as the time and memories you make with them. This is State Farm Agent Amy Brown. I understand what your family, home, and auto really means to you. Come see me, State Farm Agent Amy Brown, on South Candler Street in Villa Rica to make sure you're getting the insurance protection that you deserve.
Apparel offers all-inclusive fundraising web stores. Donors order direct from the store, freeing you from handling money, getting product to donors, keeping track of ordering, accounting, or delivery. Osier will work with you to set up your store. They'll even help with your design. From tote bags to t-shirts, headwear to outerwear, an Osier fundraising website puts the fun back into fundraising. To find out more or to set up your store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
At West Georgia Plumbing
30
Septic and
seconds.
HVAC,
30
a
seconds.
family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com.
To God be the glory.
3, 2.
And welcome back into the Team SMI starting lineup presented by SMI. Our great sponsors here at the Mustard Seed are Amy Brown State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology Repair. For those of y'all that are watching live on Facebook, we appreciate you guys as always, and those listening in the car or on the TuneIn Radio app. We've got Matt Cook, the Assistant Athletic Director at the University of West Georgia, sitting down with us. It's game week, finally, after a long month of camp.
Absolutely. I think Coach Dean said the other day, he said it's finally game week. There's been a long summer of workouts and of they call them OTAs like the NFL. They want to make it sound like the NFL. So some OTAs in the summer. And then they've been on campus since August 3rd.
Camp Dean.
Yeah, it's been Camp Dean since August 3rd. And it's been hot, and as any other football team is, they are tired of hitting each other. They're ready to hit somebody other than themselves, somebody without a West Georgia helmet on.
There's nothing better than a high noon kickoff in in North Carolina coming up on Saturday against Catawba.
Absolutely, just outside of Charlotte. It's gonna be hot. Luckily they don't have turf. They have grass. I was there in 2015, and it's a nice little place to play. It's a good little stadium, brick all the way around it. It's a pretty place. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we have in store on Saturday.
You know where I'm glad we ain't got to go?
Where's that?
Albany.
I
got tired of doing this right here.
Yeah, it was. Coach Dickey said it was extraordinarily muggy down there last year.
It was awful, and the gnats were everywhere.
Oh, South Georgia, you gotta love the gnat line.
I'm out on the South Georgia. I can't handle it.
So what are we looking for in this team? They're obviously leaving tomorrow and get up there and get prepared. And what is the team looking like coming out of camp?
Well, the depth chart gave us a lot to look at. One of the things that sticks out straight away is corners. We're dressing 4 corners this week. Latrell Gibbs and Jakyron Young will be the starting corners, and then you'll have behind them Cedric Asay, and who is a transfer from Miami of Ohio. And my brain just went dead for a second. Who's the other backup corner?
Kyron Young's all I
Yeah.
heard. He's legit.
Kyron Young's pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
Well, he's an all-conference cornerback. And he actually had 2 times in his career where he has scored touchdowns and had them called back. And he now in one of his last games before he was out last year against Florida Tech in 2017, he intercepted one and returned it for a touchdown to win that game.
Right.
But he had an interception against West Alabama. They got called back because of a block in the back. And then he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown against UNA that should have won that game. That was called back.
The phantom whistle game.
Yes, it was an inadvertent whistle. Yeah, that was a little bit of a. It really hurt that 2016 team.
If you'll notice that they don't throw a lot at Kyron Young when he's on the field.
No, not a bit. But Latrell Gibbs, he was 5th in the nation in interceptions with Appalachian State when he was there as a sophomore. So he played more of a nickelback last year, and so they've moved him back out to corner, and I look forward to seeing what he can do.
To me, the heart and soul of that defense is Chad Price.
Chad Price, absolutely. He's Coach Dean said the other day that he's been voted captain. He was the only person that was voted both years in the last 2 years. He was voted as a captain last year and this year, and he is the heart and soul of that defense. He is what makes it go. But the pieces that he's got around him this year will help him tremendously.
Yeah, last year he was double-teamed, triple-teamed at times and had to even chip the running back. And now you got guys coming back this year, and Corey Rogers up the middle. That's a pretty good little front seven that West Georgia's going to have this year.
Correct. Corey Rogers is an animal in the middle. He's really, really tough. Then you've got Azoya Alufahai, which Mitch has got to say 3 times before he can just call him Big Z. We've already told him.
I'm just going to go with Big Z right off the rip.
We've been practicing that. Azoya Alufahai, but he is 6'5", 320 pounds, and he'll be in the middle, and he is a load. He's an NFL prospect, just like Chad. And then the addition of DeAndre Gardenhire returning from 2017. That's if you try to double team Chad, you're in for a really, really long day.
Yes. Well, what Chad brings to the table, other than his play on the field, is his leadership. And he got voted in as a captain as a junior, which that hardly ever happens here. And that says a lot about his character and what the way he is as a man.
He is a fantastic human being. I enjoyed every conversation that I've got with Chad. He's always got a smile on his face, and he is one of the hardest workers on the team. He actually is bigger this year than he was last year. He's picked up a little bit of weight, and he is really, really raring to go.
Some of our conversations right before the coin toss are
a lot of fun.
Epic.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I have enjoyed getting to know Chad through the years, and he's one that I will definitely remember and miss once he's gone. But right now we're gonna have some fun with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about Catawba, what they bring to the table, maybe their conference, and what this game will look to prove for West Georgia. Big game because it's one of those regional games.
Absolutely. The South Atlantic Conference is usually pretty strong. Carson Newman is always at the top of that league, and then there's another team. Sometimes it's been Tusculum, sometimes it's been Newberry. And then sometimes it's Catawba. Catawba has been in the playoffs in 3 of the last 5 years, so that they've got that potential. Last year they were 4-7, but they return a lot of starters from last year, about 6 on either side of the ball, so that they're going to be a load. They're going to have a big offensive line. They're going to try to run the ball as well as they can. Again, against our front seven, it's going to be a challenge. But Coach Dean was talking about them being a good first game because they can beat you if you're not careful. If we let them stay in the game, anything can happen up there.
What do you think about the? You're probably like me. You're proud to see some 7 o'clock kickoffs at home now.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a nice thing.
The sun's going down.
Yeah, the sun's going down. We don't have to worry about shade as much. My wife will like it because the seats that she's usually got, she'll be in the shade the whole time.
Very nice.
But it'll be a nice thing, and that's what the students have asked for. The students and the fans, they've asked for
I did. Not that I matter, but I did.
Hey, you got a hat though. That's important.
Yes. I had to fight for this hat too, by the
way. But the students asked for it. The fans asked for it. So we've come through with 2 night games, one to start the season and one for the Valdosta game. That one's going to be a big one at the end of the season.
Yes, it is.
But the buzz on campus is outstanding. We had a Tuesday event on the Triangle the other day, and there were tons of kids coming up, and they already knew when the game was. And they said, "Oh, I'm going to be there for sure." So we're expecting a pretty good student turnout.
That's what I want to see. I want to see stands filled this year.
Yep.
One thing that how did the schedule work out where we don't have back-to-back home games?
That is something that, as an event planner and event director, it is a blessing. It is something. Back-to-back weeks is very, very taxing because you once you're done with one, you've got to start on the next, and especially with night games. I get home from a night game at 1:30 in the morning, and then I'm back preparing for the next one if we've got back-to-back. So that is definitely a blessing, but it just kind of worked out that way. Actually, a couple of years ago, I was a little worried about it because we had 1 year where we had to travel to Florida Tech, to Mississippi College, and to Delta State all in the same year. That is a very, very tough schedule. Anybody who would try to schedule somebody like that, that's not right. That's your most expensive trips 3 times in a year, and the amount of travel that you're talking. That's not something that a team should have to do. That was. I'm really glad that they switched that up because now we've got Mississippi College here. We're going to Delta and we're going to
Melbourne.
to Melbourne, yeah. but we don't have to go to all 3. That's
my wife wants to make the trip to Melbourne. She loves the beach.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah. They recruit very, very well. Englehart down there is a good coach, and it'll be based on their quarterback. They've usually got good skill players. Yeah. They lost an NFL wide receiver. They've got a kid who's in the NFL right now, so it'll be interesting to see what they've got. But they've always got athletes. Same thing with West Florida.
And regardless of what they got, they always give us trouble.
They do. And it's become a pretty nice little rivalry. First couple of years we won, and then we had the year, Coach Hall's first year, where Zed Brown intercepted 2 passes right at the end of the game. And one returned both for a touchdown, but one got called back because of holding. And all within like a minute, and we ended up winning by 2 touchdowns.
And the one last 2-3 years ago down there where they had the lightning delay.
Yeah, the lightning delay.
That never happened.
there was a sunny lightning delay, and that was a little bit strange. I'm watching the game, and I mean when you can see shadows, and that doesn't mean very much lightning.
It makes perfect sense. That's a momentum stopper.
Absolutely, it was. We had scored. We were within a touchdown, and we were owning that. We had owned that third quarter. Yeah. But I trust the word of Eddie Duffy, who works here around the Mustard Seed, and he was there at the game, and he said that there was lightning in the distance. That's what he said. So
it was in the far
distance. It was definitely there, but I trust his word. So.
Are you still running the games between the contest between?
Yes. Absolutely. We're looking at possibly getting a sponsor to do a punt, pass, and kick for a student to win $5,000 at halftime.
That would be fun.
So that would be a good one.
Kicking for chicken is my favorite.
Oh yeah, kicking for chicken. We're doing that one again. The Valdosta game is going to be the Chick-fil-A night, and that's when we're going to do Chick-fil-A for a year for that one.
Oh wow.
The rest of it will be.
How do I sign up for that?
I know. Absolutely. One per week for a year. So that'll be a good thing. But the rest of the time it'll be just a nugget tray.
Hey, if I wanted, I'd give it to my oldest kid for Christmas.
Real quick before we get you out of here, who are some guys on offense that are going to have to step up? Devontae Jackson gone. A couple of offensive linemen are gone.
Yep.
You got LP back, LaPerion Perry at wide receiver and All-American kick returner for you. And more importantly, you got a 3-year starter coming back in Willie Candler.
Willie is going to be he's going to be the cog that makes that go. But he's got 2 security blankets in Thomas Lester and John Hurst at receiver. guys that have been there. Hurst caught his third touchdown. Tommy caught his second touchdown in 2016. So he's got so he's got those guys. Obi Fortune is going to be one to watch. That's a fun name to say.
Yeah.
Obi Fortune. He is about a 6'1" receiver. He'll be playing on the outside, and he's good enough to where LaPerrion was able to move to the inside and be in the slot.
I'll probably just go with Obi on that.
Yep, Obi. Yeah. He's a Georgia Southern transfer. So in the same vein as Malik Henry, I don't think he's as fast as Malik, but he's caught the ball well in the scrimmages. Christian Royalston rushed for 453 yards last year, 4 touchdowns, and he shows a burst of speed that was a little bit of a change of pace from Devontae last year. Devontae's quick, but he's not straight ahead fast. But Royalston is straight ahead fast. But between him and Chauncey Williams, Rajez Mosley is going to be one to watch. He's Reggie Mosley's son. Reggie Mosley was a Hall of Famer at Valdosta several years back, and Rajez Mosley's thighs are probably about as big around as my head. and then on the offensive line, it's going to be Ben Walters is kind of the leader, but Austin Donaldson and Danny Connors are you all right there?
Good.
Danny Connors and Austin Donaldson are working out at center. Both of them are getting a lot of snaps. Connors has been a little bit injured, so it's been good because that's not Donaldson's normal position. Normally Donaldson would be a guard. Yeah. And then on the left-hand side of the line, it's Spencer Myers and then Parker Gibbs. Both of them. Myers is a sophomore. Gibbs is a redshirt freshman. I called him those three, Donaldson, Gibbs, and Myers. I called them real pretty freshmen last year, and I couldn't wait to see them in action. Yeah. And they're already working their way to the top of the depth chart.
And of course, the kicking game, you got Omar Cervantes, who's All-American kicker last year.
Yep, All-American kicker, and
he lost 40 pounds. In the
yes, he did. Yeah,
wow.
he looks a lot different. But he's still kicking the fire out the ball.
Yeah.
And he'll put it in the end zone. He had 23 touchbacks last year. So we expect to see some good things out of him as well.
That's one of my favorite plays, doing the stats and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All you have to say is touchback.
Yep, touchback, easy.
I saw him kick, I think, 7 balls in the Gulf down there at West Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is.
Coach Dickey wasn't happy about that.
Yeah, because we had to go get him. And Coach Dickey's not the greatest swimmer. No,
I didn't say that. That was
I can tell you one thing. I bet we'll be in better shape than everybody else.
We definitely will. Monty Curtis is really he does such a phenomenal job of getting these guys to peak at the right time, and he is an invaluable member of the team. Somebody that and I'm telling you, Monty, he doesn't want to be in the limelight at all. He will come up to Jared, my assistant, Jared Bogus, and myself, and he will tell us to make sure I don't get any of the photos or any of the video. He doesn't want himself in there. He wants it to be about the players. But I'm telling you what, when it comes to the fourth quarter, we're a much better conditioned team because of Monty Curtis.
Absolutely,
that's a fact.
Best of luck this week against Catawba. I'll be following along. You can listen to that game right here on KISS 102.7 as well. Pregame begins at 11, and Mitch Gray and Andy Mickshon will have all the action. And Clay will be joining them during the year at home games and hopefully some road games.
Depending on how far it is.
Depending on how far it is.
I don't get to ride the jet.
That is also true. But, Matt, thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to it.
Buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the Team SMI starting lineup presented by SMI. And when we come back, we're going to talk some D1 college football. Maybe talk the Falcons if you want to, Clay. Yeah, me either. I don't like pro football that much either, even though I am considered a Falcons fan. But we'll also give you a heads up of what broadcast games are coming up tomorrow here in our local area, right here on KISS 102.7 and our Gradic Sports Facebook page.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
Looking for a fitness experience that isn't your typical big box gym? At City Station Fitness, we understand going to the gym can be intimidating, and we want to change that. City Station Fitness, a proud supporter of the Team SMI starting lineup, makes your fitness experience fun and personal, and we promise to know your name by your second visit. Give us a try, and your first workout will be on us. City Station Fitness, behind CVS on Maple Street. For more information, visit citystationfitness.com and check us out on Facebook.
Join the 7 million investors who know the difference. For a
30
proactive
seconds.
approach to your individual financial needs, contact an Edward Jones financial advisor near you. Call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Regardless of what the market is doing, we stay in touch. Even when the market's down, we'll call you up. Proactive, not reactive. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones in Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
3, 2.
And welcome back into the Team SMI starting lineup show live here at the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station. Clay, thank you for filling in tonight. Good luck to Aaron this week. He's out in, I think he said Kansas City, playing some softball. So
yeah, that's that yearly thing he does. Some world. I hope he makes $1 million doing it.
Well, they're 4-0 after pool play. Start tournament play today. So
I'm kind of following on the Facebooks a little bit. I hope he's getting paid for that because it's a lot of time and effort put into this softball tournament.
Let's talk a little bit about some college football coming up this weekend. No games on tonight except for the Bears and the Packers.
Which stinks.
Yeah. My Bears defense, though, I need them to do well for my fantasy team. Ohio State and Cincinnati. That could be an interesting game, and let me tell you why. Luke Fickell, the coach at Cincinnati, was a longtime coach for Ohio State, and a lot of people said that Luke Fickell should have had the Ohio State job. They gave it to Ryan Day instead, so that could be a lot closer than what the experts say. It's a noon kickoff, too.
I can't base how good Cincinnati is based on how they played UCLA. UCLA's not that great.
Right.
So, it may be one of those where if Ohio State comes out flat, Cincinnati may surprise them.
Some other games.
I can only hope so.
Some other games, those Big Ten 10 or 12 o'clock kickoffs. Michigan and Army, that could be interesting. Army went to the wire with Oklahoma last year, early in the season.
And Michigan struggled with Middle Tennessee early. They pulled away late, but they struggled a little bit early.
Home to Zaylen Wood now.
Yep.
He actually got to travel with
him on TV, though.
Yeah. So congratulations to Zaylen Wood.
He looks normal. He looked big last year. He looks normal now.
Some other games, let's see. Not really much in that 12 o'clock hour, and there's really not anything till you get to, for you Georgia Tech fans, they play South Florida this week at 2 p.m. on the ACC network. Hopefully, if Georgia Tech find a quarterback, they might be okay.
Yeah, well, I don't.
They also got to play defense, too.
I'm worried about South Florida. I don't think that's going to turn out too well.
Big ball game at 3:30 this week is Clemson and Texas A&M. Texas A&M has just gotten better and better every game that Jimbo Fisher's been there. Kellen Mond, the quarterback, has gotten better and better and better. And down the stretch, you take away the first 6 games of the season last year from A&M, those last 6 games into now, they've been one of the best teams in the country offensively.
Well, here's my takeaway from Texas A&M. After last year's game against Clemson, Dabo Swinney said that was the toughest team they played all year, and that's after playing Alabama in the national championship game. I think Clemson wins this ball game, but I think Texas A&M gives them a fits all day long.
Nebraska, who avoided a scare from South Alabama last week, they're at Colorado, home of new head coach Mel Tucker, former defensive coordinator at Georgia. That could be a scary game for Nebraska. Coming up, Georgia plays at 4 o'clock against the Racers of Murray State. Nothing really big there.
Hey, that's disappointing at Nebraska too, because they got a national championship winning coach. No,
no.
coaching their. Coaching them now.
Oh,
I expected more out of him.
Well, speaking of national champions, UCF, they're ranked currently 18th in the country. We'll see how far they climb. They actually take on Florida Atlantic. A lot of you might not know this. Lane Kiffin is the coach at Florida Atlantic. But even more interesting, Charlie Fisher, former West Georgia head coach, Oklahoma State defensive coordinator. The guy's had 50 jobs. He is the defensive coordinator for Lane Kiffin. At Florida Atlantic. And really last week after they gave up the 28-point cushion to Ohio State, they played pretty doggone good after the 6-minute mark in the first quarter.
They did, but I'm in the minority. I think Lane Kiffin needs to be calling plays in the SEC somewhere.
Yeah.
That's when he was fun to watch.
Yes, Lane Kiffin is always fun. And he also plays Rocky Top at practice, too, so that's pretty funny as well. LSU at Texas. This is going to be a fun game. Texas has got the quarterback coming back, Tom Herman, in his third year at the helm. They are a team that really and truly, after beating Georgia last year, a lot of expectations. LSU also beat Georgia last year. That's two comparisons in this game. LSU's gone to a spread look, which has kind of shocked some people. They don't know how to feel, but Joe Burrow's done a pretty good job with the spread, beating Casey Bass's Fighting Eagles last week.
Yeah, well, I was trying to read some comments from Orgeron in the paper about his new offense, but I couldn't understand anything he was saying. I don't even think I knew how to type it. But Texas, to me, was the most improved team in the country last year.
Yes, absolutely.
From where they started at to where they finished at. And I think Texas beats LSU Saturday.
It's going to be a fun game. It's a neutral site game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's I can't remember where they're playing it at.
Royal Texas. Well, it's not really, I guess. It is a neutral site, but they're playing in Texas. So,
yeah.
Let's see.
Houston?
Yeah, I think they are playing in Houston. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Houston. And then the late game for all you Pac-12 gurus out there, if you care anything. Stanford is playing USC. USC, of course, lost their quarterback to a torn ACL, so another 7-5 year, but the most coverage of any college football team in America on ESPN.
But Stanford's so well coached.
Yeah,
Stanford wins.
David Shaw.
They win a lot of their games based just off coaching, and nobody really cares about USC. However, I will stay up late and watch one of those 10:30 kickoff games. I may stay up and watch that 11:59 kickoff game.
Oregon State at Hawaii.
Yes.
California at Washington. Washington, of course, quarterback now by Jacob Eason.
I'll watch that game because of Jacob Eason.
He threw 4 touchdown passes last week.
Yeah, he's got a huge arm. I wanted to see him go to Washington State and play under Mike Leach.
Oh,
who's one of my favorite people in all of football. Could you imagine seeing Eason throw the ball 80 times a game?
That would be pretty crazy.
Be fun to watch.
Yeah, it would be. And then Miami plays North Carolina. Both teams North Carolina beat South Carolina last week. That's the 8 o'clock game. Mac Brown, congratulations on his first win.
Dude can still coach.
And, of course, our good friend Joel Brock is a big NC State fan, so he hates North Carolina. He's throwing up the U back there. But besides that, we're getting ready to wrap things up here on the Team SMI Starting Lineup Show. Don't forget tomorrow, guys, Clay and Casey will have the Heard County Hateville Charter game on Great Classics 98.9. Central will take on Mundy's Mill. Myself and Coach Nathan Horsley will be on the call for that one over at Roy Richards Memorial Stadium. Carrollton taking on Riverdale on B92 Country, and Haralson County at Murchie on WKNG King Country FM 93.7. Other games, Mount Zion taking on Coosa, Bowden and Monticello, and Kendrick traveling to Temple.
Now, you and Nathan don't be corrupting my intern tomorrow night. I'm loaning him out in good faith.
He is so generous. Mason's done a great job for us so far this year, and we appreciate his commitment to helping us in times of need.
He'll do what he's told.
But we're super excited for another week of high school football coming up tomorrow. Make sure you tune in starting at 5 o'clock. It's the Agri-America Farm and Construction tailgate show. Myself and Coach Nathan Horsley will be live from Central, and maybe Clay will join in if he gets down to Staples in time.
We'll see.
We'll see how that goes. Fridays are hit and miss with a lot of us.
Yeah, go get out. I say I'm gonna leave work at a certain time, and it never happens. Something happens at work, and I never get out of there on time. So, we'll as long as I'm there by 7 o'clock, I'll be. That's my goal.
Yes.
But I'm gonna try to get there around 5.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that. Looking forward, like I said, make sure you tune in 5 o'clock. And all of our games, we've got Coaches Clinic right after the Agri-America Farm and Construction tailgate show, and then the Southwire Red Zone show after the game. We hope to have Coach Detmore on with us. Keep him in your prayers. He's still been a little under the weather. He is,
love you, Coach.
Still to be determined for tomorrow night's.
Got the breeze playing for him right now.
If I don't call and tell him to stay home, he'll be there tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, I told him I needed to see a doctor's note because he had to go back today and get some more tests done. So just keep him in your prayers, and we've even got the breeze in the background playing for him. So
he loves that song. We play it 30 times a night.
So for any final thoughts before we head out, Clay?
This is last weekend was the opening weekend, and I actually went to the Mercedes-Benz and watched Alabama play Duke. So I didn't really get to enjoy that Saturday at home in front of the TV, and I get to do that this week, and I can't wait. Hot wings and football all day Saturday.
Can't wait. It's the Team SMI starting lineup. It's presented by SMI live here at the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station. Amy Brown State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology Repair. We'll be back here next week, same time and same place. We're looking forward to it. Don't forget, tomorrow at 5, tune in to all of our Graddick communication stations for high school football action. For Clay Harden, I'm Matt Skinner. We'll see you next week right here on the Graddick Sports Facebook page and KISS 102.7.
You're welcome, buddy.